What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and back to some more roster reviews, starting off with Incognito. And he wants to know what CTP he should use for Rogue. He says he has a spare CTP of energy, but he can unequip a CTP of Judgment from Apocalypse. And when I take a look at your account and I look at your Apocalypse, I see that he's just tier 2. He's not tier 3. So more than likely, you're not using him for ABX. You're probably using your Namor here, I would imagine, although you really want to rage on your Namor if that is the case. But if you really want to make Rogue shine, she really does need that CTP of Judgment. That thing is an amazing obelisk for her, especially when you get a little pierce on your cards. And I can see you do have some pierce on your cards. You got 5%. So the judgment's going to be pretty massive on that character. So my advice to you is, yeah, I would go ahead and unequip the CTP of Judgment from Apocalypse, especially since you only have him at tier 2. And go ahead and slap it on Rogue to really make her the monster that she should be. Now we have Freddy, who said if he had a CTP of Judgment, would I give it to Rogue, Thor, or Ghost Rider? Well, those are some pretty tough choices in all reality, but I do believe that your account will benefit the most from getting Ghost Rider, from putting it on Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is the Kingdom Come in ABX. He's the Kingdom Come in Squad Battle. And he's extremely freaking strong in World Boss. The only caveat to Ghost Rider and World Boss, really against Null, he's amazing. But against Mephisto, he can die quite easily. But man, he's got a lot of freaking damage. And I do think your account would benefit the most from having Ghost Rider. The next one would probably be Thor, in all honesty. But if you don't have a certain amount of pierce, like I tested Thor with a Rage and a Judgment with 4% pierce. And Thor definitely did a lot more damage with a Rage than a Judgment. It really isn't until you get about 10% pierce is when the Judgment's going to do a lot better on Thor. So it's looking more and more like Ghost Rider. Rogue is an amazing character, honestly, at tier 3. And even with the Judgment, she really is freaking strong as hell. But Ghost Rider is just stronger. Now, if you want a character that's going to be easier to play, you're not really worried about ABX, you're not worried about Squad Battle, then Rogue's going to be a lot easier. She just has a lot better survivability. She's got heal. She's going to be easier to play. She does really, really good damage. She can do some pretty high levels of Null, and especially Mephisto, because she's a speed type and actually has a type advantage. And when you enhance her type enhancement, she becomes that much stronger. So it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. But if it was me, it would be Ghost Rider. But maybe for you, it'd be someone else. Now, Gasm here has 1 Rage, 2 Energies, and 1 Greed, and he would like to know what characters to put these on. Well, if we're talking about the Greed, I mean, Silver Surfer's actually amazing with the Greed. However, you already have a CTP of Regeneration on him, and I wouldn't pay the crystals to unequip that obelisk because that is an amazing obelisk for him. I would leave it on him the way it is. Another character that you could think about would be Black Widow, but when I looked at your account, I saw that you already had a CTP of energy on Black Widow. And Black Widow's actually pretty freaking strong. She can actually put in some work. Let me take a look at your cards. Yeah, you do have some pierce on your cards. You got 4% pierce, the same as me. So you're going to be able to put in some work with your Black Widow as well, especially against Mephisto because she's a speed type. So I would probably keep the CTP of energy on her. I'd probably just hang on to the Greed. When I look through the rest of your roster, I think I'd just hang on to the Greed for the next best thing that might come to the game. And as far as your energies, there's definitely some candidates in here that would work really well for that energy. Number 1 would be Beta Ray Bill. I see you have a regular obelisk on him, but with that 4% pierce and that chain hit damage on that CTP of energy, it's going to do more damage than this double lightning damage, 200% damage proc. Now, I know this is a good obelisk and this was probably hell to roll, but I mean, if you have the crystals, I mean, if this was my account, I would unequip this obelisk. I would not delete it. It's way too good of an obelisk to delete. And I would put on a CTP of energy because the energy, especially with that 4% pierce, is just going to do more damage. That chain hit is going to make a big difference, especially for Beta Ray Bill. And then another one you could give an energy to, you said you had 2 spare energies. is you could maybe give one to Iron Fist. Iron Fist is freaking amazing with a CTP of energy. He actually plays super, super well. I see that you already have one on Moon Knight. A lot of the characters that you need energies on, you already have them on. But I think Beta Ray Bill would be number one. I think Iron Fist would be a really good candidate. Also, Medusa would be a really good candidate with one as well. She is better with a rage, but in all honesty, you can cancel her awakened skill. You can get all the damage from it. You can do the 3 awakened skill 5, do tons of damage. And with a regular proc, even before you even have Pierce on your account, she can put in work. So if you did decide to put a CTP of energy on her, it's going to make it a lot easier to do your higher level clears against Null when you're using her as a support or, you know, as a leadership for another character. And as far as who you should put a rage on, I mean, there's quite a few candidates. I think number one would probably be Valkyrie. Valkyrie, for kind of a similar reason as Medusa, Valkyrie is an ABX meta. And on top of being an ABX meta, she just plays super well with Rage because you can't cancel her fifth skill to get those giant attack buffs. You gotta let the fifth skill play out, and a lot of times it triggers the proc early. So if you have a Rage, you don't have to worry about triggering early. And you can use Valkyrie as an amazing support against Mephisto, against Null. She can do a lot of extra damage in between switching your characters. She really is massive in all honesty. And then another one would be Black Bolt. Black Bolt with a rage is actually very good. And since your Medusa's already transcended, you could actually put her on the team with Black Bolt and have that synergy. And I honestly think, I mean, Black Bolt really is underrated, bigger than crap. He's so strong, especially with Medusa on the team. He can do so well, and he's really easy to play. Lots of heals, terrific character. Another one would be Thor. Thor with the Rage, and like I just talked about earlier with the 4% Pierce, the Rage will do more damage than the CTP of Judgment. Thor is actually pretty freaking insane also. And just like, you know, having Medusa with Black Bolt, you do have Beta Ray Bill, so you'd have that leadership for Thor. You'd have that extra synergy. So Thor would also be a candidate. So it's really up to you as to, you know, what character you want to be putting them on. But I definitely would be putting an energy on Beta Ray Bill. And in all honesty, I'd probably slap that sucker on Medusa if you're using Black Bolt as a damage dealer. Or maybe Iron Fist. I mean, there's lots of choices you could go with here. But hopefully that'll help you out as far as deciding what characters maybe you could slap on your rage and energies. Now, Conqueror here says he can't get 7 million in ABX. And he wants to know if he should re-roll the Luna card. So we'll start with that. Should you re-roll this card? Hell no. This thing is at quality 7. I would not re-roll this card. The only thing I would do, and I wouldn't even do it at this point, actually the next thing I would do with your cards is work on your Guardians of the Galaxy card and try to get another blue star to get some extra Pierce. And then maybe I'd come back to the Luna card and try to change that physical attack. I know it's a blue star, but you already have 3 other blue stars. I'd probably try to re-roll that blue star and get it to where it's all attack. But I would focus on the Guardians of the Galaxy cards first before I'd work on that Luna card. And I would not re-roll this card. There's no way. Getting the 11% of all those extra stats really is better. And you do got max HP and ignore defense, so I think it's more than good enough. When you re-roll cards, you just never know what you're going to get. You never know how many cards it's going to take to get what you want. And the fact that you got that sweet quality 7, and the fact that it's also a Luna card that gives you the energy attack, the all attack, and the crit rate as set stats, I would just keep it the way it is. As far as, oh, and I should have looked at this just a second ago, but as far as, you know, achieving 7 million in ABX, I looked at your count here. I mean, you have enough energy attack. You have 83% energy attack. And before I ever crafted my cards, I had 83% energy attack as well. And I definitely could hit 7 million with multiple characters. I mean, you should be able to do it with Null. You got a Rage on your Null. But his gears are 20 to be fair. But you do got some Odin's Blessings on him. But you have 83% energy attack. And, you know, your Ghost Rider should easily hit that 7 million. I mean, especially with a CTP of Rage. Especially with all these Odin's Blessings. And it looks like you haven't built well. Honestly, that cooldown obelisk on him. Let me look at this. That cooldown. Yeah, you have 33% cooldown. I would freaking take that cooldown Uru off of him. That is actually being wasted. Okay, these are all fine. So the rest of this build's fine, but I would definitely take off that skill cooldown Uru. You don't need it. You have enough cooldown as it is. But your Ghost Rider should be able to hit the 7 million. I know people that's hit 7 million with Thor. Moonstone should definitely be able to hit 7 million. You got a CTP of energy on her with a 200% damage proc. You got Odin's blessings on her. Double energy attack Urus. I mean, you really should be able to hit it. You know, what I would advise to you is, and you really don't need that skill cooldown Uru again, but unless you know you're at a point where you just need that little bit of cooldown and you're rolling your blue stats for a different stat. Maybe you're trying to roll something else like crit rate or critical damage, maybe something else. Maybe that's why you got that skill cooldown Uru on them. Odin here can definitely hit the 7 million, but you're going to have a CTP of Rage on him. All honesty, it'd probably be the easiest one. And then you know, it gets pretty scarce. Cable can do it definitely at tier 3. But if you're having problems hitting that 7 million with Null, or, well, again, Null is a physical attack character. Maybe it'll be difficult for you with him. But I mean, really, with a CTP of Rage, I'd wonder. But the gears are at 20. But your Ghost Rider, in all honesty, that should be the character that you should be able to do it with. He should easily be able to hit the 7 million. So I'd be looking up some Ghost Rider ABX guides. Try to learn how to play them as far as what you need to do in your rotations. Now, Shanib here wants to know his next tier 3 and Awakened character. And when I take a look at your roster, I see a couple different ways you could go about doing this. You could tier 3 Thor, because you already have Beta Ray Bill Transcended. And since you'll have that leadership, that 60% increase of lightning damage, that's going to synergize really well with Thor. Now, the caveat to this is you will have to buy the uniform for Thor, but in all honesty, in the situations I'm going to be giving you, you're going to have to buy uniforms anyways. But if you get his uniform and you do put a CTP of Rage on him, and that will be the best for him. He will be able to play with a proc, but a Rage really will be the best because he has a 12-second cooldown on his Force skill. He just plays a lot better with a Rage or a Judgment, but since you have no Pierce on your cards, I would go with a Rage if you have one available. And you could also transcend Gambit. So you could tier 3 Thor and transcend Gambit. You have to buy uniforms for both these characters, but Gambit is so strong. Even before I had any Pierce on my cards, Gambit could do stage 4 Null using a CTP of energy with a normal rank uniform with no support. No Valkyrie, no Mystique, nothing. No Cyclops, nothing. Only Gambit doing stage 4 without any Pierce. And I do have 83% energy attack on my cards when I did that run, but that is insane. So he's a character to really think about. Another route you could go is you could go ahead and tier 3 Black Bolt. But you're going to have to buy his uniform. So, you know, whether you do Thor and Gambit, you have to buy both their uniforms. You'd have to buy Black Bolt's uniform also. And like Thor, Black Bolt really does need a Rage to shine. But Black Bolt is actually more proc friendly. He's a lot easier to play with a proc. And he gets his heals a lot more often, in all honesty. So that's something to think about. As far as power levels, they're pretty close. Although I do think Black Bolt's a little bit better against Mephisto. And you could awaken Medusa. So like I said earlier, you know, you'd have to buy a uniform for Medusa and Black Bolt if you do that team up. Or if you do Thor and Gambit, you'd have to buy their uniforms for them. But if you get Medusa and Black Bolt, you'll have the synergy between Medusa. She's going to offer that 45% damage out of supervillains to Inhuman allies, which Black Bolt is. They're an amazing team. And even before I had Pierce with Black Bolt and Medusa, I could get a clear doing stage 2 against Null without having any Pierce at all. But if you have, you know, Thor and you have a CTP of Rage on him, even with a proc, and you have Beta Ray Bill, you'll still be able to do stage 2 clears against Null. So it's really a matter of which you actually prefer. So Ashes here wants to know who he should tier 3 next. And I don't know if he means the tier 3 selector or just work on a regular tier 3. He says he can clear Null 5 times a day. And he's already really tier 3'd a lot of the strongest characters already. But if I want to throw out a couple recommendations, Rogue is excellent. She's wonderful for Mephisto. She can do super high levels of World Boss, heals, very good character. You got Black Widow, who you can get from the tier 3 selector. She actually does really well against Null as well. She's also very good in PvP, freaking really great. She's fallen down quite a bit, but she's still really good, especially with manual player. Loki, if you're playing in certain seasons, is going to do just as good as Null, if not better. He is actually quite amazing. Loki doesn't really get a lot of love. You have Thor, who you can actually get from the selector. And since you already have Beta Ray Bill, maybe you could use Beta Ray Bill for a leadership, put Thor on the team if you have a Rage lying around. Jean Grey would be really great for PvP. And that would conclude my suggestions. I mean, you could even, if you really wanted to, you could tier 3 Cyclops, so you could have that amazing 35% all attack support leadership plus a 30% increase to energy attack. You could just tier 3 and 4 excellent support. I mean, you got Winter Soldier for the same thing, but honestly, if you're going to go for a support, extra tier 3 for support, Cyclops would be the best in all reality. I mean, Magneto would be a good one, but Cyclops would be the best because his would apply to everybody. You could tier 3 Storm for some extra elemental support, but again, Cyclops would be a better support. So if you're tier 3 in characters for extra supports, I think Cyclops would be number 1. If you're going for ABX, then I would definitely go for Loki. And then after that, I would just go for whatever character you really want to. I mean, if you're already clearing Null 5 times a day, that's what I would do. I would just go for whatever character you love the most. So that concludes the roster reviews. And I want to thank all of you for plugging in those comments. Hopefully this will help all of you out there. And I stream on Twitch at Reset, Sunday through Thursday. The link will be in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one.